You ready? Alright, here is now two-time world indoor record holder Graham Fisher, second world record in 1 week. Walk us through the race.
Oh man, that was a tough one. I came in here, I wanted to get the world record. I had a pace for the world record. It was really hard to find pacers. I had two guys step up and do a great job. They got me to halfway, and I think any shorter than that, and it would have been really close to getting the record. So they got me just as far as I needed, and it was a long, long way home. Those laps felt like 400s, and they were just dragging by, and I kept looking at the clock and being like, okay, I think that was a 30, I think that was a 31, I think that was a 31, and with a few laps to go, I was like, okay, as long as I don't blow up, I can get it. And then those laps felt like 600 meters when I was going through, and I was seeing stars, and with a lot to go, I knew I had it, and I was giving everything I could, and I wanted to get as far into that record as possible, and that worked out just as well as I hoped. I didn't know how my legs would feel after last week, but they honestly felt pretty bad for a few days after, and I was a little nervous 2 days ago with how bad my legs felt, but yesterday they came around and today they felt normal, so I think everything was out of my, like fatigue, I guess the fatigue was gone, and I mean, 2 world records in 6 days, I didn't expect that going into the season and going into this year, and a year of my life last year, so this is a great start.
I know there was some talk of when you were going to do this attempt this weekend. Was there any trepidation? Like, walk us through the thought process to go right after this?
Yeah, so back in November, I planned out my indoor season, and I really liked the rhythm of back-to-back-to-back weekends and going 1,500, 3K, 5K with the emphasis on this last 5K. I've been training in flag, and going back and forth to flag is kind of a hassle. So I wanted to stay at sea level on the East Coast and go back-to-back-to-back weekends, and that's been, the other option was to wait another week and do a 5K next weekend here. And at that point, I probably would have gone back to flag and just had more travel. I like the rhythm of this, and I mean, this has been a hard indoor season. Even though it was short, it was hard, and I need a break. And if I take that break, and I want to be really good at Grand Slam, that first one's the beginning of April, and I just need some downtime. And the further I push this indoor season, the more condensed my downtime becomes. And to be good at Grand Slam, I need to be very cautiously optimistic because it's a long, long year. So it was honestly planning for the future is why I chose this weekend. And I wanted as many people as possible to come to this weekend, but everyone has their own plans and their own options. So for the same reasons I wanted to go this weekend and not another, people had their reasons to go another weekend, not this one. So it's all good, had a great battle last week, good racing, and this was a ton of fun. So it's nice that I got some fun for the indoor season.
What is that downtime look like? How much time do you take off?
It won't work out for probably 2 weeks. I'll just take a few days racing enough, and then slowly start jogging. And in 2 weeks, I'll start doing some tempos, and it'll kind of fall to it. And then about midway through March, I'll start doing more serious stuff again. But I'm the type of athlete that needs to go up and down in intensity, and I came up in intensity obviously for this stuff, and now I need to come down. If I want to be back up, later in the summer, I just need to take that down cycle. Yeah.
Where does grinding those 30s and 31s from the front, where does that rank in the hardest races you've ever done?
It's so hard. It's just mentally grinding. Like, there's nothing in front of you to chase. You're just giving it. And I mean, really, like, if someone all of a sudden, if I would have thought I had 8 laps to go and someone told me 1 lap to go, I probably couldn't have gone too much faster than 30. Like, I was at the limit. And that was as fast as my legs would go. And 30s for 5K is brutal on the legs and brutal on the mind. So every step that my pacers took me today was really, really helpful. Running 30s by yourself sucks. It's hard to do. Hardly anyone in the world can do that. And this is the perfect place to do it. The elements are really controlled. You have no wind, you have a bouncy track, perfect temperature always, perfect humidity, whatever. It all works out perfect here. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the hardest things I've done. It felt just as hard as last year when I ran 12:51. It doesn't get much easier. You're on the 5K ride.
What was going through your mind when you were lapping those guys with like 400 to go?
Just get to them as quick as possible and get around as quick as possible. It was actually nice to have someone to chase for a little bit. It timed out pretty well where I wasn't passing on the curves too often. Usually when I was passing, I was on the straights. Yeah, just get up and around as quick as possible because every step you're in lane 2, you're running a little further. So, it all worked out fine. Those guys are running their race as hard as they can. So, I mean, I wasn't aware of anything going on behind me, so I'm not too upset at them for not knowing what was going on behind them either. So, it all worked out. If I would have missed the record by like a 10th or something, I'd probably be a little pissed right now. But it all worked out.
How's your fitness? Do you think it compares now versus the Olympics?
It's different. I'd say my aerobic fitness is as good or better than at the Olympics. I was sharper at the Olympics, way sharper. I don't have incredible closing speed right now. I'll sharpen up in the summer. It just takes like, a couple of speed sessions where you're running 400s and then your legs are there. But as of right now, I'm not in championship shape. I'm in time trial shape, essentially. And I can still close well, but I don't have that acceleration that you need at the championship level. So I'm not as sharp as I was at the Olympics, but I'm either just as strong and fit or even more.
Have you been able to link up with anybody for workouts, or is everything
I was mostly on my own this fall. I was training with Sam Gilman a bit in the winter in Flagstaff, and he was really, really helpful. Great athlete, great guy. He's very powerful, so he was really strong on the hills when we do hills, and if we're doing like 300s off short rest, he was really good at that. So he was helpful and kind of dragging me along, and good to have some company. But as far as like official training partners, no. A good chunk is on my own, and there's pluses and minuses to that. You have more custom ability, you have more individualization in the training if you're alone, but there are times when it's nice to have someone to drag you around. And I'll easier on the feet almost every day. So those days I have some
We've seen 3 world records by Americans in the last week, and 2 other guys who ran under the old world records. Do you have a theory as to why so many Americans are like starting fast right now?
Well, all the Americans that just ran really well had great Olympics. So I don't think it's like what's happening right now. It's probably what was happening this time last year that led people to run really well at the Olympics, and now is leading them to great momentum in the indoor season. So yeah, I mean, you talk to me in August, and I would say like U.S. distance running is, those are now one of the hardest teams to make in the world. Whereas before, probably the Kenyan team or the Ethiopian team was the hardest team to make, but on the distance side now the American team is almost just as hard to make. So it's a testament to just the skill and fitness level that the Americans have, and we're just pushing each other forward. If you want to make a team now, you're probably thinking of medaling too. And when everyone knows that, it makes you train hard. And when you train hard, you're risking injury, you're risking burnout. But that's what you have to do if you want to make a team. So it kind of pushes everyone forward, and globally people are running really fast now too. I mean, Jakob has changed the game in a lot of ways, and a lot of us are chasing him. He's kind of the gold standard in time now. You look back 5-10 years ago, granted, the super shoes weren't there, but no one was really ripping to see how fast can they go. And Jakob has raised the bar, and everyone is following him now. I think there were a few years where Jakob can run away from fields, especially in the 1500, and that lasted for a few years, and now guys can go with him. And that's what happens when someone sets a new standard. So, the Americans are in a great spot. It's fun to be a part of.
For you personally, was getting the medals at the Olympics, was that a mental weight off your shoulders?
Yeah, massive. This sport's about the Olympics. For good or bad, that's what it's. And I've been close plenty of times to the medal, and to get it done twice in one swoop, man, it felt incredible. And it was just as much relief as it was happiness. I had a lot of pressure on myself to get a medal. I'd run fast. I've been 4th, I've been 5th, I've been 6th at World Championships, but never a medal. So now that I have those, I feel like I have nothing to lose in my career now. It's only up. I'm shooting for a gold medal now, and It's going to take a lot to do that, but based on where I am right now, I think I have a good shot at it. And you never know what will happen. This sport is brutal, and you never know what your career is going to hold. You don't know when the curtain's going to close, so I'm trying to make the most of it and shoot for another medal this summer.
I was told you used bicarb before your 3K world record. I'm wondering, did you use it tonight? And if so, why did you start using it? Do you feel like it has helped you?
I used it tonight as well. I do think it's helpful in the shorter stuff. I haven't used it enough to really know if it makes as much of a difference in like 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. I do think in the 1500, the 800, it helps. And whether that help is just mental, it matters. It's tough to it's tough to run this race with bicarb and then run it without bicarb and see how it feels. So I might just be in shape and it does nothing. But I started trying it this winter just to see how my stomach would take it, because there's horror stories, of course. And my stomach handled it fine, so I've been using it for these races, and I think definitely the 1500 and 3K helps. 5K on up, I haven't used it enough to really know, but I think it makes an impact, and if that impact is 1%, that'd be massive. It's probably more like 0.1% if there is one, and if it is just mental, then I'll take that too.
Grant, this is your third race in about 12 days. Can you speak to how important your support system has been throughout this?
Yeah, it's been massive. I'm really tired. 3 races in 12 days, 3 hard races in 12 days, all PRs, all pretty high pressure environments. I've stayed on the East Coast the whole time. My family's out here. My girlfriend lives in Boston, so I just stayed with her on the East Coast, and it's been nice and relaxing, and it's nice to be in familiar places with familiar people when you're trying to recover. There's only so much you can do in between these races, get a massage, get a nice bath, lay on the couch. It's not very glamorous, but it works well. And being in a good mental state, especially going into today, where I knew going into it I was going to have to go to a dark place, and it was just going to be a grind on my body and mind, and to prep yourself for that, it's helpful to be around good people, and I think it makes a big difference.
Grant, and I'd love to know, how do you structure your mentality coming into these races where you have world record expectations? How do you stand up to that pressure?
Yeah, it's hard because when you start looking at world records and American records, when you start talking about that beforehand, it sometimes feels like accomplish that or it's a bust. So if I ran 12:50 today and I got the American record but not the world record, it would have felt kind of like a bust. So it's a risky take. This sport is brutal, and sometimes you do everything right and you still come up short. But you got to set your goals high, and my goal is to break the world record today. And after last week, I knew it was possible. Going into the indoor season, I was more focused on the American record than the world record, and I know they were close, but those seconds are pretty big to make up. And after last week, I knew it was a possibility, and I asked the Rabbits to do something very difficult, and they did a really good job, and pulled it off.
Awesome. Thank you so much.